Business is not so much opposed to Marxism or communism as they are to good old free enterprise, competitive business, and consumer sovereignty. That's what really gets them all worried. One can imagine what would happen if people could see what goes into their processed food products, or they could see what frauds so many of the so-called cleaners and cleaning agents are, and the kind of harm that's involved. Or they could see the enormous price fixing that goes on in the petroleum industry and in other industries that sell products to them. And the deliberate obfuscation or complexity of such services as insurance policies, so that the consumer couldn't possibly compare one policy with another to see which is the best buy. The laws are very weak. The penalties are even weaker. Picture the scene. You can destroy a body of water like Lake Erie, and nothing happens to any of the polluters. You can destroy a beautiful spot on the West Coast called the Santa Barbara offshore area, and there hasn't been any criminal prosecution or fine of the violators. There was recently a $1 million fine imposed on Chevron for the biggest oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. What is that? That's nothing. That's about an hour's gross revenue of the parent company. And it can be just passed on through the cartel in the form of higher consumer prices. Unless these fines go to the culpable officials, you're not going to get law acting as deterrents to future activity. And an oil spill is not just something that messes up beaches or kills a few seagulls. An oil spill, as we now know, due to testimony before the Senate a few weeks ago, breaks down almost immediately into carcinogenic components, which are consumed by fish and which can be passed through the food cycle. The oil spill also destroys almost every vestige of life on the seabed over an enormous area. And so it's a very serious ecological disaster, and one that does not repair itself in just a few months or even a few years. Not to indulge in commentary on partisan politics at all, but I think even a nonpartisan would have to conclude that the Republicans in this country have yet to know how to spell the name consumer.